Greetings and welcomes to our podcast. We are excited to have you along today as we dive deep into one of the most thrilling and revolutionary technologies out there, robotics. This is not about science fiction or movie robotics. Robotics is here today with tremendous capability and changing how we live, work, and think from robots in the operating room saving lives to robots for domestic use cleaning your floors. This technology impacts nearly every part of our life and it's expanding. In this episode, we are going to look at robotics from several angles, its fascinating history and cutting edge technology that powers it, it's how it's transforming industries, what the role artificial intelligence plays, and yes, we are also going to talk about that difficult questions like ethics, job replacement, and what kind of future we are walking into. You are not going to hear facts and figures today. Each of us will be sharing actual anecdotes, observations, and even a bit of personal musting to make it interesting and genuine. Sit back, listen carefully, and stick with us for the next 30 minutes as we discuss the potential and pitfalls of robotics. Let's start at the because in the order how we are going. We need to know how we arrived.
The history and evolution of robotics. When you think about robots, your mind probably jumps to shiny metal mechanics with flashing lights. Maybe something from a movie like Wall-E or iRobot, but the truth is, the idea robotics has been around for centuries. Ancient civilizations imagine artificial life. In Greek mythology, there was a giant bronze robot named Talos that protected the island of Crete. In China, there's a story from around 1000 BCE where an engineer built a humanoid machine that could move its limbs and speak. These stories may sound like fantasy, but they show that humans have always been fascinated by the idea of creating intelligent machines. Fast forwarding to the 15th century, and you find Leonardo da Vinci drawing blueprints of mechanical knight, a machine that could sit, wave its arms, and move its head. Sadly, it was never built during his lifetime. Then came the Industrial Revolution. Machines started to replace manual labor, but it wasn't until the 20th century that real robotics took off. The first programmable robot called UNIT was built by George Devol in 1954 and was used by General Motors to lift hot metal parts from die casting machines. It wasn't smart, it just followed instructions, but it was revolutionary. The word robot actually comes from a 1920 play by Czech writer Karel Capek titled RUR, which stands for Rossum's Universal Robot. In the play, robots were human-like creatures made to serve humans, and eventually they rebelled. The fear of robots taking over has stuck around, hasn't it? In the 1970s and 80s, robots moved into factories. They were strong, fast, and perfect for repetitive work. Then came surgical robots, robotic arms, and robots for space explorations, like the Mars rovers. Each decade brought smarter, more precise, and more capable machines. And today, robots are not just in factories; they are in home, your hospital, your city. From vacuuming floors to diagnosing diseases, they are everywhere. The evolution of robotics shows how one thing clearly: we've always been driven to build machines that can help us or even replace us. But that desire comes with big, res- big responsibilities, as we'll see in the next sections.
Let's talk about how robotics is showing up in our everyday lives. You might not even know how many times you are interacting with robots or with robotic systems. They are not necessarily give us humanoid machines. They can be sometimes silent helpers doing work humans once did, usually better, faster, and without fatigue. Take a stroll through a modern hospital. You will note robotics surgery platforms like Da Vinci Robot, which allow surgeons to do surgery with precision of incredible accuracy using tiny instruments through tiny wounds. These devices reduce the time of recovery, reduce pain, and make complicated procedures much safer. In shopping malls and airports, The floors are cleaned by robots, cameras, sensors, live mapping to clean properly. Some of them even guide passengers or delivery food orders. In warehouses like Amazon's fulfillment centers, robots have taken over tasks that used to require walking miles every day. These machines transport shelves of products across massive facilities with impressive speed and accuracy. They don't need coffee breaks, they don't call in sick, and they work 24/7. And there's agriculture. Yes, agriculture is automated now too. There are airborne drones mapping out crop health and land robots planting seeds, weeding, and harvesting crops. With the world population growing so fast, robots could be an important contributor to putting an end to future food shortages. Even learning is getting robotic support. Programmable robots kits are being used in school to teach kids programming. Robot tutors are even present that help children suffering from autism to build social skills. But robots are not always physical. You would surprise to learn that your phone assistants like Siri, Google Assistant work on robotics principles. They receive speech, interpret meaning, and respond in natural language, all based on systems that live at the very intersection of robotics and AI. From homes to hospitals, farms to factories, robots are transforming world we live in. The largest question now is how do we make sure they stay tools and not threats? To do this, we need to understand where artificial intelligence fits into this world puzzle.
Artificial intelligence or AI is the brain behind the robot's body. A robot without AI is like a puppet, it only moves when told to. But when AI enters the stage, robots can start thinking, learning, and even making decisions. Let me give you an example. Early robot vacuums used to bump into walls randomly until they cleaned everything. But now, they map your entire house, detect obstacles like socks, wires, and even remember your room layout for future cleaning. That is AI. It's teaching robots to learn from their environments and improve their performance over time. In the past, robots were programmed to follow a specific path or routine, but AI allows them to adapt to changes, like a warehouse robot that takes a new route if a black box its path, or a delivery drone that avoids a tree it didn't expect. There are different types of AI used in robotics. They are machine learning, computer vision, natural programming language, and reinforcement learning. AI is also enabling humanoid robots to interact with us in very human ways. Robots like Sophia or Mecha can recognize faces, hold conversations, and even mimic emotional expressions. They're still learning and sometimes still creepy, but they represent a huge leap in human robot interaction. Then there are social robots like Paro, the robotic seal, used in elderly care. Paro responds to touch and voice, helping reduce anxiety and loneliness among elderly patients. In some ways, it's therapy wrapped in wires and sensors. In this industrial world, AI enabled robots can spot defects on a product line, predict machine failures, or even collaborate with humans in real time. These are called COOTs, collaborative robots. So, where's the line between robot and AI? It's blurry. You can have AI without a body, like a chatbot. You can have a body without AI, like a basic robotic arm. But when you do put them all together, that's when the real magic and risk begins. We're giving the machines the ability to learn, decide, and act, often faster than we can. And that leads to important conversations about control.
The more intelligent and capable robots we create, the more we must be compelled to ask the true questions. Just because we can, should we? Robotics ethics is a growth area and the growth is ripe. Let us start with autonomous weapons. Combat robots that can look and attack targets without human intervention. There are those who fear it will result in what they call killer robots, computers deciding to kill or not in combat areas. Should robots be allowed to take lives? Who is responsible if a drone hits the wrong target? The device, the code writer, or the military commander? These are not just science fiction questions. They are real and they are urgent. And think of autonomous cars, If an autonomically driven car has to choose between hitting a child or veering off into a wall and injuring its passenger, how would it decide? We call this the trolley problem, an old philosophical conundrum starkly illuminated by robotics. Then naturally there is a privacy. The vast majority of robots use cameras, microphones, and data collection in order to function. Some home devices are listening in even when we don't realize it. Police and security forces are using surveillance robots. Where do we draw the line? Robots now do surgery, give medication, and even monitor patients remotely in medicine. But if an automated nurse gives too much or too little medication, who does we send to court? Bias is another issue. Robots and AI platforms can learn the incorrect things if they are trained on biased data. A hearing robot, for example, might discriminate if company historic data includes biased hearing patterns. That's not a technical glitch, it's a social issue of profound concern. We also need to consider emotional manipulation. There are some robots designed to be cute, nice, and emotionally appealing. However, what if companies exploit those characteristics to get users, especially children or the elderly, to trust them to must or given our personal details? We must build transparency, accountability, and fairness into robot systems, the same way we do for human systems. As they are designed, we own ourselves, our children, and to humanity to ensure that robots work for humans, not against them. It's not about what robots are capable of, it's about what they ought to do.
Let's change tracks and look toward the future. What does the future hold for robots? Do we have a Jetson like future robot housekeepers and flying cars, or something more suitable? In fact, the truth is that we can already glimpse a future of robots, and it's not entirely fantasy. It will be ubiquitous. The experts say within 10 to 20 years, not just the office, but the home, the school, public transport, even space. In the medical field, we'll have nanobots, microspace robots that can be injected into the human body repair cells, kill cancer or target drugs, right the tumor. Sound in science fiction, but clinical trials and are already in the process to make it reality. In construction, robots will build houses using 3D printing. Whole buildings are already being printed within less than 24 hours using robotic arms. In education, robotic tutors and online teaching assistants could customize and make learning easier. Students who learn differently could have robots designed especially for them. Space robots will get a lot of hard work. NASA's Perseverance rover already sent information from Mars. Future robots could build homes before astronauts arrive or explore hostile regions like the moons of Saturn and Jupiter. Will robots displace too many jobs? We will have overly reliant on them. Will human skills become outdated? The key is build a balance using robots and enhance our lives, not replace the human experience. Most exciting is that many of the students in school today, possibly even some of you listening, will be the ones designing tomorrow's robots. So keep learning, keep wondering, and think not just about how to design smart machines, but how to use robots to create a better world.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. We hope that this conversation made you appreciate not just how advanced robotics has become, but how it interests with nearly every element of our existence, from the equipment we work with to the questions we need to ask. Whether we're in hospitals, homes, schools, or in space, robots will be around. But the future is not a computer program. The future is written by individuals like you.
Let's use technology responsibly. Let's ask tough questions. Let's grow up responsibly.
We hope you enjoyed the journey through the history, today, and tomorrow of robotics. Thank you for
If you
listening.
enjoy this episode, you are free to share it, discuss it, or even disagree with it. That's how learning grows.
Until next time, remain curious, remain inspired, and continue exploring. Thanks for listening.